You all here for this RTP Fest. We're going to get started with the Legdom part of the program today. It's going to be a very interesting Legdom on Tanam. The Ragam Tanam Pallavi. We're going to learn more about Tanam. I'm personally very excited to know what Tanam is, why it exists, and how is it different from Ragam and all that. We have eminent musicians here presenting the Legdom today. We're so happy to have all of them here. We have K.R. Subramaniam on the flute. He said, just say my guru's name and don't say anything else, but I'll just say a little bit more than that. He's a senior disciple of Sangeeta Kalanidhi Dr. N. Ramani, and he's performed numerous solo concerts in the US and in the India at premier venues like the Music Academy, Indian Fine Arts Society, Krishna Gana Sabha, Kala Rasna, to name a few. He is the recipient of numerous awards, the Best Flutist Award from Music Academy, Krishna Gana Sabha, and Indian Fine Arts Society. He's also a graded artist in All India Radio. We're so happy to have KR. We have Madhukar Chidambara on the veena today. Madhukar is a disciple of Srimati Geeta Ramanathan Bennett. He received his initial training in Veena under Kamala Dattatreya and Professor R. Visveswaran of Mysore. He started learning from Geeta Bennett when he moved to LA after his graduation from Purdue University. He works as an engineer in Northrop Grumman Corporation in Redondo Beach. Madhukar on the veena. We have Shubha Chandramouli on the mrudangam. We all very well know Shubha. She's a very popular mridangist, has been performing a lot in India and in the US, and she's going to be touring as well in fall, and we're looking forward to seeing that as well. Shubha is a student of Shreyas Srinivasan and Patri Satish Kumar. Shubha Chandramouli on the mridangam. And we are going, and the senior musicians are going to be supported by the youngsters in this Legdom. We have Shreyas Srinivasan on the veena. He is a student of N. Anantanarayan for his veena, and the vocal music is learned from Srimati Padma Kuti. And we have Parnika Sivakumar on the vocals here. Parnika is a student of Srimati Shubha Narayan and Sandeep Narayan. Next we have Neha Ganesan. Neha is a student of KRS and Padma Kuti. I don't know if she's doing flute or singing today. Singing, okay, on the vocal. So I'm going to hand over the mic and let's all hear more from the musicians on stage. Thank you. Let's enjoy the show.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here giving a leg demo. That's something new here, for me at least. And so, let me quickly explain to you how this whole thing came about. About a month back, Nirmal came and said, KRS uncle, we'd like you to do a leg demo during the RTP festival. I was excited. I said, yeah, I could think of a lot of wonderful things to talk about. He said, yeah, but you need to talk about Tanam. And my heart sank. I said, shh, Tanam, no, that's a new one, okay? And so I started sort of humming and hawing. Well, we all know Nirmal, right? So Nirmal is Nirmal, and he has his way. And so I'm here delivering a lecture on Tanam. And in the process, I think I should thank Nirmal, because all of us know what a Tanam is. Okay, we all know what a Tanam is. It's almost like seeing a friend, right? We recognize the friend, but now we've got to start describing facial features, shape of the nose, color of the eyes, etc. Something that we've never done, right? I'm sure 99% of us know what a Tanam is the minute we hear it. Okay? And so it was a discovery for me too. And I will try in whatever humble way possible to describe what little I've learned.
Hello?
Yeah, it's much better. Okay, so here is how we're going to structure this discussion overall. Okay, we're going to have first 15 minutes in which we are going to explore what is Tanam. Why is Tanam different from other things we do on stage or elsewhere, right? What's so distinct about Tanam? A little bit about historically how it came. So that will be the first part, and there'll be some demonstrations of basic Tanam features. After that, what is going to happen is our friends are going to take over with their demonstration and lecture on veena, because veena is extremely important for Tanam. Okay, a lot of people even say veena is Tanam, Tanam is veena, right? I mean, it's such an important part of a veena concert, and so there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the veena side too in this demonstration. Okay, and so then they are going to talk about various aspects of Tanam from the veena side. Once that is done, what we will do is Shubha and I. Shubha, by the way, is going to sing, and I think they didn't introduce you as a Delhi Sundarajan's disciple. So she is a disciple of Delhi Sundarajan, of course her own mother, Sunanda too, and Geeta Bennett. So, you know, 3 gurus. And so we're going to give a demonstration of how modern Tanam is sung on stage. You know, we'll sort of do that, and you know, as we come along there, I'll give more details. At the end of that, we're going to have very unique feature where we're going to have the 2 Veenas play a Tanam with mrudangam accompaniment, which is rare, but it gets done once in a while. So that's the overview of our lecture. Okay, so let's get into this thing about what on earth is Tanam, right? And as I said before, we all recognize a Tanam, but you know, when we want to lay it down and say, what is it that makes a Tanam? It's not very difficult. It's more difficult to figure that one out. It's easy to say, yeah, you know, Tanam is something where we sing something like Alapana, but you know, with the syllables Anamta, Tanamta, right? Well, that's, I think, partly true. It's true certainly if you're a vocalist. But please remember, instrumentalists play Tanam too, and you know, within 20 seconds, everybody in the audience knows a Tanam's going on. So obviously, there's something about a Tanam beyond the syllables that we do, right? And especially the Tanam on the veena is so popular. So thought about it a little bit, and then saw some leg demos on YouTube, read a few things, and then realized, see, what makes Tanam Tanam is the distinct, repetitive, rhythmic structures with which we sing Sangadis. That is the hallmark of a Tanam. Without Talam. So in other words, there will be a basic rhythmic pattern that we will sing. And of course, vocalists will use the terms Anantam. It comes from the word Anantam. But we will create our own rhythmic structures with that. And using that, we'll explore the raga. Okay, so to some extent, at a very basic level, that's what Tanam is. And that's what distinguishes a Tanam from anything else we do. Okay. Now, thinking about Anantam, you know, Anantam is what people do. Everybody is used to Namta, 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 but it's actually Ananta, Anantam, which is what we try to pronounce or sing when we do vocal. Okay. And so, you know, the important thing to realize out here is that there has to be these repetitive patterns though. It's not just we do it once, but you know, we do it several times and then we explore the raga. And of course, there is now, over time, a macro structure that has evolved for singing or playing Tanams, which, you know, before Shubha and I give our demo, Well, I'll sort of talk about it very briefly. So in a very, very basic form, that's how we want to think about Tanam, okay? Rhythmic patterns, repetitive rhythmic patterns that we sing. And the other important part is, even though the anantam is what a vocalist does, I would think of it as plucking. And it comes from the veena, right? So what do we do? Like when I play Tanam in the tutkaram, in a flute, I give the tutkaram. So that's the plucking. And the violinist will give the bow. And so you have to break it. You have to break it. It cannot be a continuous. You can't say, that's not a Tanam. There has to be breaks, right? So that's how I would define a Tanam. So at its very, very basic structure, these rhythmic patterns will start with a demonstration that Neha is going to give us. And so what she is going to do is she is going to largely sing Sarle Verse in My Malagola, patterns of Sarle Verse in My Malagola, but in Tanam form. And so I will demonstrate 3, 5 and 7. That is the rhythmic patterns of 3, rhythmic pattern with 5, rhythmic pattern with 7. And so that will give us some idea of where this whole concept of Tanam evolved from. Okay. Historically, it came from what is called Ganam singing. Ganam singing is a form of Vedic recitation that used to occur in the olden days, where they would have a very set Madhyamakala speed, and they would sing it with this up-down movements. And so, at least some historians seem to think that's where the Tanam came from. We're not very sure about it. Some people will say it's even there in the Tamil literature. Tanam's mentioned long time back. So we don't know what it is. But anyway, let's stick to this. And now Neha will give us a demonstration in which first she will sing 3s, then she will sing 5s, and then she will sing 7s. And then you see how the basic rhythmic structures form. So Neha, let's start with 3. Now can you sing around the pa like typically how a Tanam is started? Ananta, Ananta, Ananta. So now you realize everybody recognizes Tanam, everybody starts the Tanam with Ananta, and that's what she has demonstrated. It's just a rhythmic pattern of 3. Okay. Now a mrudangam player will be quick to notice, even though it's 3, it's actually 4 karves. True. The ending one always is longer. So even though we say it's a rhythmic pattern of 3, it's actually a rhythmic pattern with 4 beats in it. But the last beat has a longer pause. Okay, that's how typically we start Tanams, with 3. But we can do it with 5s also. And we do it without realizing. So Neha, can you demonstrate 5? Ananta, 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 Ananta. So this is a 5 pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how she sung it, right? Now we'll demonstrate a 7 pattern. And this is sung very often on stage. We don't realize it's a 7 pattern. So can you demonstrate 7? Ananta, 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 Ananta. Now you see that that's a 7 pattern that's come, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's how she sang that. Sing that first one again. Ananta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's what she sang. So this is a 7 pattern. There are 9 patterns also that can be sung. Typically, the patterns we sing are odd numbers. But we could also sing 6s or eights, etc., etc. So now we start realizing the basic pattern of how this Tanam forms. It's these repetitive, rhythmic singing with the plucks. In this case, we do the plucks as Ananta and a vocal, but they will, pluck the string, or will give a tutkaram, the flute. That's how the basic Tanam structure is. Okay. Now over time, there are more and more complicated structures that we can evolve, and so people have used their Manodharma, and we explore the raga under this structure in Tanams. Okay, and so because of that, I came to know there are some very fascinating ways in which people have named and people have categorized various things that we always find people are doing on stage. And so now I'm going to have a very interesting demo with Parnika, in which we are going to sing some of these named types of more complicated patterns that we sing in Tanams. So the first one that we're going to demonstrate is called Gaja Tanam. Gaja means elephant. And a Gaja Tanam means the movement is like that of an elephant. Slow, deliberate, laborious. Okay? So Parnika will show in Raga Todi. So you can see most people start Tanams this way very often. So very often when we do start a Tanam, we start with the Gaja Tanam. And surely when we end the last few phrases, we jump into something like a Gaja Tanam. Go. Tanam, tanam, tam, tanam, ta. When you do that, that's known as Gaja Tanam. Okay. Then the opposite of that is Ashwatana. Ashwa means horse. So now we're going to gallop very fast. And how does a horse make a sound? It neighs through the nose. And so there will be a lot of nasal singing of Unkara as part of this Ashwatana. So we'll see a demonstration of Ashwatana.
Num tum tadaganum num tadaganum num tadaganum tanum tanum
Another interesting one is Mandyuka Tanam. Mandyuka means frog. And so it's a bit like the croaking of a frog. How does a frog croak? I don't know if you heard it, right? It always, it goes up to that, right? From low to higher registers. And so you will see this Mandika. By the way, the Mandika Tanam pattern is very popular. A lot of people do that as they sing Tanams. Okay? So we'll see Mandika Tanam now.
Tanum 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 tanum
This Mandika Tanam pattern, I'm trying to do something which my learned colleagues in Veena may disagree with me, but I see a lot of this Mandika patterns in Veena, right? When you do this. right? You see that especially large veena players, would you also see that being played by others too. So it's known as Mandukar Tanam patterns. And then the final one that we're going to talk about is Chakra Tanam. Chakra means wheel. And this is also a pattern that a lot of people sing, and we hear it often on stage. And so like a wheel, the chakra pattern is like it goes around and keeps coming back. And then stepwise fashion we go up. We'll see a demonstration of that.
Anum tanum 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 taganum 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 tanum tanum anum 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 tanum.
So that is the chakra pattern, right? We can see that it goes in these, round patterns. Okay. So having looked at this, now we're going to go a little more advanced. So we have sort of looked at the basic structures of how that's done, and then we showed how these more complicated patterns can come. But realize there is no Tanam without a Ragam. Ragam is at the heart of the Tanam. Okay? And so whatever we do in Tanam, we cannot lose sight of a Ragam. The beauty of the Raga this is another way of bringing the beauty of the Raga. One way to look at it is, other than the Tanyavarnam, anything that happens on a stage is bringing out a beauty for Raga in various forms, right? And Tanam is also that. And something like Maya Malagola can be very easy to sing, but there are very complicated ragas out there in which we may need to sing Tanams. And so what Parnika is going to do is give a demonstration of the importance of the raga and how we break these rhythmic cycles to bring in the beauty of the raga in a highly Rakti oriented raga, which is Ananda Bhairavi. And so we'll see how in Ananda Bhairavi we have to, we have to take a lot of liberty with the underlying rhythms, because otherwise we'll lose Ananda Bhairavi. Okay, so we'll see a demonstration.
Anum tanum tanum tatanum 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 tanum taganum ta anum tanum 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 ta
That was first class. Deserves a big applause. It's extremely challenging to do a successful Tanam in Anandabhairavi. And when I picked up Anandabhairavi, I said, oh God, did I pick up something too tough? Wow. You know what? You can look at the talent there. She just picked it up with that. Okay, now before I finish, there's one last interesting thing that I want to talk about. That compositions have Tanam structures in them. Okay? So, all these Aditala Varnams that we and our kids learn are all called typically Tana Varnams. Why are they called Tana Varnams? Because the patterns of how they are structured have Tanam based rhythms in them. Okay. And so as a demonstration, we are now going to have Neha sing the first half of the Saviri Varnam in Tanam form. Give us a hand. Now we move to actual compositions. If you look at the Pancharatna, for example, all other, I think with the exception of, Kanakana Ruchira, all of them have Tana structures and Tana patterns in them. And so we're going to get Parnika to sing two charnams, two Chittaswarams of Jagadananda Karaka and Nate in Tanam form. First she will sing it in notes and then she will sing it in Tanam.
Pani pani pa ma ma pa ma ga ga ma ri sa ni sa ga ma pa ni pa sa ni ri sa pa ma ga ma pa sa ni pa ma ri sa ri ga ma jag ta ananda karaka nam ta nam ta ta 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 jak ta ananda karaka pa pa ni pa ma ga ma ri sa ma ga pa ma pa ni pa sa ri sa sa ni pa ma ga ma pa sa ni pa ma ri sa ri ga ma jag ta ananda karaka anam tanam ta 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 jag ta ananda karaka.
So with that, we come to the end of the first part. So once again, give a big round of applause for our two talented young demonstrators. Now I hand it over to Madhukar and Shreyas.
Hello. I'll first give some historic references before I demonstrate. The earliest reference of Tanam historically has been found in Sangeeta Ratnakara. Sangeeta Ratnakara is a Sanskrit text written by Sarangadeva in the 13th century, in the year 1200s. Both Hindustani and Carnatic musicians consider this text as one of the authentic documentation of Indian music from the medieval times. Tyagaraja himself regarded Sarangadeva as one of the greatest musicians. In one of his compositions, Vidulaku Mrakkeda in Maya Malagola, he mentions Sarangadeva's name in the Charanam. And in another composition of Tyagaraja, Nada Tanmanishan, in the Raga Chittaranjani, scholars think that he's quoting a line from Sangeeta Ratnakara, where a very similarly worded line exists. In this text, it is stated that Tanam is derived from the root word tanoti. Tanoti iti Tanam, meaning in Sanskrit, tanoti is the word for improvisation, developing something. So something that is improvised is considered a Tanam in his text. And he says, as swaras are named after the sounds of the animals, the Tanam styles are named after the movements of the animals. So the swaras are stated as originated from sounds of the animals. Shedjam is supposed to come from a mayura, peacock. Rishabha from a bull, Nandi. Gandhara from a goat. Madhyama from the sound of a crouch pakshi or a crane. Panchama from a pikaha or a kaku. Daivata is from the sound of a horse. Nishada is from a sound of an elephant. Same way, he states that there are 8 major Tanam patterns: Gajatana, Ashwatana, Mayuratana, Mandukatana, Markatatana, Kukkutatana, Chakratana, Manavatana. Although from the Sangeeta Ratnakara text itself, it's not known how they used to sing the Tanam in those days. Another noteworthy historical reference is from Lakshmisha, a Kannada poet from the 15th century. In one of his poems, he describes a scene where he imagines Lava and Kusha, Rama's sons, God Rama's sons, playing the Tanam on the veena to their guru Valmiki. Lakshmisha hails from the same century as of Purandaradasa. So we can infer from this that when Purandaradasa was reforming music and into what we call Carnatic music today, Tanam was already being played on the veena and being glorified by poets. Another historic expert on the Tanam is none other than Tyagaraja's guru. We probably don't know who Tyagaraja's guru is. His name is Sonti Venkataramanaya. This piece of information is documented by Valajapet Venkataramana Bhagavatar, who is a direct disciple of Tyagaraja, and he wrote the biography of Tyagaraja, where he states that Sonti was an expert on Tanam singing. This historic record is also corroborated by the court records of Mysore Palace. It is recorded that Sonti visited the Krishnaraja Vodayar III and performed Tanam for 7 days, for which the Maharaja granted him 3,000 gold coins. This historic record not only mentions Tanam as a theme of his 7-day discourse. We don't know what he did, but it's recorded. It also states something about how the royalty treated the musicians by granting such a valuable amount to a musician. Another historic Tanam expert is Veena Kuppayar. We probably know his compositions, but we don't know they're written by him. One of the famous Shankarabharana Aditala Varnam is composed by Veena Kuppayar. So Veena Kuppayar was an expert on the Tanam, playing on the Veena. It is said that he wrote some of the techniques of playing Tanam on the Veena on the palm leaf in those days, and some of them have survived even today. There are some differences in how Tanam is performed on the Veena and on the vocal today. While the vocal Tanam singing is almost always associated with Ragam Tanam Pallavi, the traditional Veena Tanam playing is done with a Raga Alapana, followed by a Tanam, and followed by a Kruti. It's not always followed by a Pallavi. Tanam is also sung in Hindustani music, where it is called Tan. There, they sing the swarams in Akaram in a very fast tempo as part of their Drupad style or Khayal style, which is like our Pallavi. So developing from the 8 Tanams from the Sangita Ratnakara period of time, today there are 24 Tanam techniques in the Carnatic music, and in the Hindustani music there are 36. They call it Chattis Tan. And Shreyas will demonstrate some of these today on the Veena. As Kyares already mentioned, we usually start with Gaja Tanam, and it's also called Aatana, where starting the Tanam with a slow tempo, usually in the Shedjam or in one of the Jivas for us in the lower octave. And followed by Gajatanam, the technique to develop it around the Shedjam or at the starting Swaram is called Ahatatana, Pratyahatatana, meaning a technique of building up using Swaras in ascending order, Ahatatana, and descending order, Pratyahatatana. So Shreyas will demonstrate it. Another technique is called gamakatana, playing the tana to emphasize specific gamakas that characterize a raga. And another technique is called go-to tana. Go-to is a technique of playing swarams, intentionally playing without any gamakas. And we already talked about Mandurka Tana. Shreyas will demonstrate on the veena. It is named after frog's movement, where you leap from swara to swara in big jumps. Another technique is called Harina Tana. Harina is a deer. It is a way of playing in a fast tempo, utilizing the full octave of a raga, but dwell at times and then continue on with the fast movement. Another technique is Bhramara Tana. Bhramara is a bee. This is usually played when a raga has chromatically spaced swarams and you try to imitate the sound of a bee. Another technique among the 24 is called Dvandva Tanam, where you play symmetrical patterns like a call and answer in different octaves of the same raga. Similarly, there is a technique called Sanchari Tana, where you play the whole Sanchara of a raga. Another technique called Malika Tana, where you play Raga Malika of Tanams. Sarpa Tana, Mayura Tana, Hamsa Tana, Shivalasya Tana, Kukkuta Tana. Meetu Tana is where you play Meetu on every note you play, Chakra Tana, which we already heard. And finally, there is a name for the ending, Makuta Tana. Makuta is a crown, and it describes the pattern of how you end the Tana. And another aspect Nirmal and Kyaris asked me to address is why is veena considered so special for Tanam? So I think the main reason is that the existence of tala strings. In veena we have tala strings on the side, we strike it for the beat. Because of this, when we play the tana, while another string is playing the melody, we use the tala strings to emphasize the pulse of the tana without hindering the melody being played. This is probably why veena has been so special for playing the tana. We probably could do it more easy than any other instrument. I'll hand it over back to you.
Thank you, Madhukar and Shreyas. That was just stupendous. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, having gone back into history, we're now going to come back to the concert stage, and we're going to, Shubha and I are going to give a rendition. Now, in his terminology, it's going to be a Malika Tanam, which means that it's going to be Raga Malika. We're going to sing the 5 Pancharatna Ragas. And the reason why we are going to do it is, I think, also think about macro structures. I think Madhukar just sort of spoke about it when he said Mukutta Tanam, right, towards the end. But, you know, when I think about it, I see everybody is thinking about all these 24 different ways in which various things can be played, but nobody wants to talk about what's the overall structure of a Tanam. It's very important to think about. In fact, I would say that it's one of the most structured pieces in Carnatic music, you know. I mean, if you ask somebody what's the structure of alapana, they're going to say, oh wow, no idea. You sing what you want, right? Swarams also, well, there may be some kind of a korve at the end, but again, you sing as you want. But tanams typically tend to be very structured on an overall basis. And so we're going to show that, how we start off. We typically start off at the lower sajam level. You could start with pa, but then you have to come back. And then the first, so what happens is, especially when there is an accompanist, you do the tanam in pieces, right? And I think all of you are familiar with it, you've heard it, and so I'm not going to talk about it a lot. So you first piece, you end in the lower sajam, and then hand it over to your accompanist, who then ends at a similar pace, and then you go up, typically it's panchama, and then you play there, and then you go up to the tarastai, you hit the sa. Sometimes you can explore above. And then at the end of it, you end with what is called this Mukutta Tanam, which is that right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to show how we can also show that Mukutta Tanam and break it into pieces. Malika Tanam, by the way, is very popular nowadays. And I think I'm very proud to say that one of our own musicians, star musicians, Ramakrishna Murthy, is sort of made it very popular. Every kacheri now he wants to sing a Malika-based Tanam. So we'll give you a demonstration of that. Now we'll have a demonstration of Tanam on the veena, accompanied by Shubha on the mrudangam, and then we'll come to the end of our demo.
As we stated earlier, Tanam is usually not played with a percussion. It doesn't have a tala, it has a pulse but no meter. Although there is a rare tradition from Kerala that there they perform the Tanam with the mrudangam accompaniment. It's usually played without any complicated talams. It's usually played set to ekatalam or aditalam, 4 beats or 8 beats. It just emphasizes the pulse of the Tanam even further. We'll try to do a short Tanamalika one more time. Shreyas will join me. While we play the Tanam, try to recognize the pattern. Think of an animal that might come to your mind. Hopefully it's one of those that's listed in the scriptures.
Let's give a big hand. Fantastic show, Madhukar, Shreyas, and Shubha. So, very happy all of you came here. It's I think, run a bit longer than we expected. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are in about what time. Thank you.
Once again, a round of applause for all of the artists and directors. Thank you so much to all of them. I know it's not in everyone's wheelhouse to take up a topic like this and do a lecture demonstration. So last year we had a great start to this, and we really appreciate the community coming together. KRS, Uncle, and Madhukar, I asked first, and they said, yeah, I don't know anything to speak about Tanam, but of course, they lied. They knew all this information, they shared it with us, and it was a great presentation. And to get the youth to perform with them, first, before saying the youth, Shubha Chandramouli also presented a lecture demonstration last year. Yes, a round of applause for her. And so she is like the Swiss Army knife of the community, as you know. So, I mean, he needed some vocal support to bring in. KRS Uncle asked Shubha when we needed mrudangam support, brought in Shubha. So she's always there and was the de facto senior on this lecture demonstration too. So thank you so much, Shubha.
You can also have dance support from her.
I didn't want to say, yeah, but maybe next time. And yes, please give the first to them. I see KRS Uncle. Madhukar Chidambara. Shubha Chandramouli. And then coming to the support, they all did such a great job. This is a difficult topic, as I said. A lot of people were hesitant to come forward and perform and take up this topic. But these three, a huge thanks and amazing performances by Shreyas Srinivasan and Veena, Parnika Sivakumar, vocal, and Neha Ganesan on vocal. Neha is, of course, an excellent flute player as well too. So thank all of them for this excellent performance. We will turn over the stage in 7.5 minutes. And we will have the next performance with Aditya Prakash on vocal, Arun Ramamurthy on violin, and Gopal Ravindra on mrudangam. Please stick around, it's going to be a wonderful conclusion to the day. Thank you.